Well, just before we came on air a little earlier, I put some of those points to the Transport Secretary and asked him whether he was confident the cost of HS2 wouldn't rise again.
Yes, because what we did there was we deliberately built in a large contingency. So what we've done is we've set a target for phase one at £21 billion, but actually I've told HS2 that I want phase one to be built for £17 billion. But it is right on big projects like this to have a contingency that is part of the budget, but I very much hope it'll be delivered for less than the budget that we've set.
And yet, even with this jump, another £10 billion, the reduction in economic returns is only slight. The figure out today goes from £2.50 to £2.30. How can that be credible?
Well, it is credible because there's other things that come into the account and come into the system. But I'm not
like
so
what?
well. The use of the capacity argument, the amount of trains that are run, and arguments like that.
Well, you say like that, but like what? When you give people these figures and they know it's costing £10 billion more, they simply don't look believable.
Well, they are believable. Look, everything that we publish will be crawled over by various people, and if we've got it wrong, we will be told. But the simple fact is, let me just deal with BCR because it is an important factor. The fact is that if you looked at the BCR for the Jubilee line, it was less than one. Actually, it would have not stood up to economic value, but it's in London. It has led to the development of Canary Wharf, over 100,000 jobs. At the moment, we are building through London Crossrail, and that is a £15 billion project. Nobody complains about that. It has a similar BCR, but this is a chance for the northern cities to get their part of transport infrastructure spending.
I'm just questioning how you arrived at the figures that you've arrived at today. For example, we're now looking at benefit to business leaping from 25.2 to 40.5. How did that work out?
Well, it works out because what we're told and what the way in which the economic case is worked out on. So that is a point.
But what do you mean the way we've been told and the way the case is worked out on? How does it leap from 25.2 to 40.5?
Because there's new information that comes into being, and that is classed into the overall figures and the overall case.
What's the new information? I mean, these were wrong last time. You published figures today saying they came from 25 to 40.
They weren't wrong last time. They were the figures that were published. We have done more work on it, which was what we were asked to do by the Public Accounts Committee. These are important matters. What I've also got to do, as far as the Transport Secretary is concerned, is actually look at what is the benefit for the North. So I've just come from a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce in Manchester. They tell me how very important that the high-speed line is for them.
This is predicated on an incredibly optimistic forecast in growth on this route. Now, if we look back to what happened on HS1, the forecasts were far too high. There was a 30% overestimation. So why don't you just say you don't actually know what's going to happen to the route in terms of the number of people travelling? Why would you make a forecast that ties you into these kind of numbers that people are not believing anymore?
Well, I'm not sure. You say they're not believing. The CBI today have welcomed the case we published. The Chamber of Commerce have welcomed the case that we're publishing.
And the FTSE 100 business leaders poll says that 49% of those who responded are against HS2. They don't see a credible need for it anymore.
Well, if you're saying 49% are against,
33 are in favour.
Well, look, the truth is...
And that's fallen. That's the point. That has fallen over the last year.
And the truth is that big infrastructure projects are always controversial until they are built. And when they're built, people say that they were the right thing to do. The same arguments were made about the M40, about the M25. People were opposed to those. They're actually very important parts of the infrastructure of our country. And I've just come from a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, and what they were telling me that this is important for Manchester.
The problem people have with this, when they're listening, when they're reading the figures, when they're crawling over the pages, is that they feel a lot of these figures are being massaged. They're being made to fit the picture that your government wants to portray. If you take the KPMG report in the summer, talked about a £15 billion benefit to Britain. It didn't give the raw figures. It didn't tell us the places that wouldn't benefit, that would have adverse effects.
Hold on. Crossrail is being built at the moment through London.
I want to talk about the KPMG figures, which you put out, which said a £15 billion benefit to Britain. It took NEWSNIGHT and an FOI to find out the truth of those figures. Why didn't you just come forward with them?
Hold on. the Crossrail is being built. I don't think you would say that the people in Manchester are getting much benefit from Crossrail.
I'm not talking about Crossrail. I'm talking about the fact that you said there is a £15 billion benefit to Britain. That was what that report was about. Yet you didn't give the raw details. You didn't even come forward, and it had to be a freedom of information request to find out what the adverse effects of that were.
There are many bits of infrastructure that are taking place at the moment which don't affect different parts of the country. It doesn't mean to say they
don't affect. Aberdeen will be worse off. Norfolk will be worse off. Do you concede that now?
No, I don't, because I believe the United Kingdom will be better off to the tune of £15 billion overall, and other areas will benefit as well. The simple fact that Aberdeen doesn't benefit, as you say, Aberdeen doesn't benefit from Crossrail. It doesn't benefit from Thameslink. It doesn't, but it benefits from other bits of infrastructure we're putting in.
Why not just give the raw details, the raw figures then, and let people work it out for themselves rather than trying to push that message?
I have published today all the background documents that relate to this strategic case.
Pat McLoughlin, thank you.